Hi, I'm Gillian Utesch. I am the host of a Superwoman Handbook and the author of A White Collar Wife. A White Collar Wife is my personal story through love, loss, and joy. You can listen to it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you catch your podcast. Plan for today's episode was to talk about family traditions and things you do, like on Easter, your dog always photobombs the photo with the big poo. That's true. That is one of our Easter traditions. Or you do a scavenger hunt to find your basket. And that was one thing I always loved doing with our daughter on Easter, especially as she got older. She didn't push back. I thought that she'd grow out of it and be like, no, I don't want a stupid, stinking scavenger hunt for my basket. Just give me my but she didn't. She looked forward to it. And I liked kind of creating the scavenger hunt and watching her go through it. And this past Easter was our second Easter that I haven't been with her. I just was kind of sitting quietly thinking, I hope someone made her a scavenger hunt today. But in typical fashion, life has dictated art. And I'm not going to talk about all of our family traditions and things that I miss, things that we're not doing because my husband chose to basically eliminate our family. Those that are going through a high conflict divorce, I know you know what I'm talking about, where you have this unit, you have this tradition, you have this stability, and then it's just not. And all of your stories are different. I've talked to so many women who are going through this right now, and not only do you have my absolute just love and support, but I find it so intriguing just how wicked people can be and how creative they can be in a divorce to torture the other person. So if you're listening and you've not been divorced, I'll give you a quick 3-step process. It's very easy to get divorced, unfortunately. Step one, you wait a year. That's it. You just have to wait a year. Step two, you have to sign a piece of paper. You say I do, you sign I don't. Okay, so far so good, right? We're tracking. Step three, oh. This is the doozy. Separate your assets. That means your furniture, your money, your investments. Because when you're married, you have things combined, you have things together. And so that all has to be divvied up, right? That makes sense. Like, why would one person come out of a marriage just holding everything? It's weird. Doesn't make sense, right? So getting divorced is very simple. However, there are many situations where people choose to use the process as a weapon against the other person. Usually, when I'm speaking with women, this is centered around custody, children. And the narcissistic will say the narcissistic spouse is using the process of divorce, the 1 year of waiting, plus the separating of things. They often will use the children as a way to try to hedge their side of things. So they're butthurt about something. Whatever went down in the marriage, they're butthurt about it. They can't get their dick out of a twist. And so they use that year to torture the other person. And then they'll often use children to manipulate and try to stack the deck with the divvying of assets. That's usually what I hear. That's typical high conflict divorce. And what is so it makes me angry, y'all, that our court system is set up such that it profits off both sides in that process. And when I say profit, I mean tens of hundreds of thousands. We're talking about 3 easy steps. Wait a year, sign I don't, split your shit up. It's not that hard. It doesn't take tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars in billable hours to do that, but it does. And especially in my situation, when decided that he no longer wanted to be married, when he decided he no longer wanted to financially contribute to the life we had created together, when he decided that, yeah, his dick was in a twist, that is when all hell broke loose and rained down in my life. You want to leave? Leave. Okay. Wait a year. Sign I don't. give me half the shit and go, boo. But again, that's not what happened. So, and this is really the story that I was not wanting to tell. This is the story that we had originally planned to just be in the book. Because to tell this, to share this experience, I have to relive it. Thank God I've learned how to regulate my nervous system over the last year, so that I can relive it. I can tell you, and I tell you because I recognize when you know better, you do better. And the only way we know better is by education. And in life, education is the stories of the lives we live. And so many women have shared their stories with me, with our community, so that we have a guide, so that we know, number one, we're not crazy. We're not alone. The universe didn't single us out for this fucked up experience. It is something that is bigger than that. So we got a lot of questions about our last episode. I made a lot of comments about how my divorce is the divorce that isn't. And it's just, we're playing at divorce. Yes. So I will elaborate on that. Because we don't have custody issues, because we don't have boats and yachts and stuff, it shouldn't be this way. So when left, I thought, okay, this really, well, I didn't think, okay, this really sucks. I cried my eyes out for days. But we'll just say, I thought, this really sucks. And I thought that was the hardest part of the process, was accepting that he had gone, accepting that our marriage was over, accepting that I wasn't a wife anymore, accepting that I wasn't a mother anymore. I thought that was the hardest part, no, because then the torture has to start. So one of the reasons, and I talked about this in a previous episode, one of the main reasons why I married was he was vanilla. He was very consistent. He worked his job. He didn't, rob convenience stores. He was very consistent with his behavior. And I thought, okay, he's not, fun and fanfare, but he's also not off the rails. So I'll take vanilla. What was my thought, really? Because I've had both. I've had partners that were just fun and fanfare. And let me tell you, that is consistent. We talk a lot on the podcast about how people are consistent. Those folks, it is that level across every interaction. And sometimes that can be too much. And so, yes, I was happy with vanilla. And that's why this last year has been such a surprise to me and everyone really in my circle, because has not followed that pattern of vanilla, starting with how he chose to leave. And you can check that out on our first episode. I go into those details, so I won't rehash here. But I thought, okay, after I survived the initial impact of him leaving, I thought, okay, it's only downhill from here. We just got to wait a year. We got to sign I don't and split our shit up. Okay, I can do this. I can do this. What I was not expecting was all the choices and actions and behavior that came from him over the next year. So much so that I had to do one of the hardest things in my life. I had to gather my documents, go to the magistrate, and file a criminal complaint. Even now, it's hard for me to say it, because who in their mind ever thinks that they would have to file a criminal complaint against their spouse? This is someone that I've shared a bed with. This is someone that I've shared holidays with. This is someone that I raised a child with. And I'm now having to file criminal charges. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but I had to do it because his behavior was so off the rails. And one, I needed it to stop. Two, I was concerned, what is he going to do next? Because he was not showing any signs of self-control. His team or friend were not giving him any regulation. And I was worried what he was going to do next. And he was really going to get himself in trouble. He was really going to do something not vanilla. He was really going to do something utterly fucked up that he couldn't come back from. And I did not want him to do that. I want him to keep his job. I want him to keep friends that he has. I want him to live a happy, successful life. And so I needed to stop the behavior he was doing at that time. And so that behavior was he was calling people that he didn't know, that he didn't have interaction with, and he was saying stuff he didn't need to say. And so then they're calling me and they're like, Jillian, can you get your husband in check? Like, I don't want him calling me. I don't want to be a part of this fiasco. And I'm like, I don't want to be a part of it either. And so, it happened once. Okay. He called Josh, my husband, before, which kind of takes us down a separate chapter in the book where I talk about our dogs. But we had my dog she was almost 16. I told her when she turned 16, I would get her a Power Wheels little go-kart thing. So we didn't quite make it to that, but she put in a good fight to get there. And so she passed away, and I had gotten her with my husband prior to. And so I felt like he needed to know. I mean, we never have had a contentious, I will say, relationship. We started as friends. We ended as friends. It was really a divorce, how divorces should be. And so I reached out to let him know, that Coco had passed and kind of what had gone down kind of prior to that. And he, in that conversation, shared, oh, BT Dub, Ryan called me and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whoa, okay, thanks. And so yeah, it's one thing. Now, I do advocate calling the previous partner, the previous spouse of someone when you get with them to get the tea, because everyone has done something fucked up in a relationship. But what you need to identify is, can you live with that type of person? Are you cool with that level of fucked upness being in your life, really, is what you're trying to identify. But what level of crazy are they? Because we are all the crazy ex in someone's story. Yes. I'll say it again. We are all the crazy ex in someone's story, so don't think you're above it. It's one thing to call the ex partner, spouse, of a person to get the scoop. It's an entirely different thing when you call them trying to spread some tea and stir some shit up. And I've talked many times about just what a gentleman Josh is, and I can't say it enough. I mean, the way he handled that situation, the way he has conducted himself through this entire fiasco has just been nothing short of a gentleman. But so I thought, okay, that was, little outburst. We'll give him that. Then he did it again. And I was like, dude, please. All we got to do is wait a year, sign I don't, and split our shit up. You don't need to be calling people, okay? This is not the game of telephone. And so in that situation, he had called, I can't even call her my sister-in-law because I don't even know her that well. But my half brother that I was not raised with, his wife. And so my biological mother, she died from mesothelioma. And when she died, she left me as successor, executor, operator, whatever, of a college savings plan that she had started for both his kids. It was very important to her and her legacy for education. She had never had the opportunity to get the level of education that she wanted. So she felt a very strong pull to help leave that to the next generation. So I thought it was odd that she had left me as the, operator of this savings account. Just give it to him. Just give it to my brother. It's for his kids. Why am I involved? Well, I learned very quickly why she had made that choice. Not long after she passed, my brother just started peppering me to get that money. She wanted to wait and have the money dispersed when the children were in their junior year of college. And I thought, again, number one, why am I the operator? Number two, why are we waiting until their junior year? All of that became clear to me. And so she wanted to wait. It became clear to me that she wanted to wait for their junior year because they needed to get there. Could they even commit the time and money and success to get through freshman, sophomore year to make it to their junior year to get the money? She was concerned that they would get this money. And I remember how hard it was for her. It was very purposeful and very planned in her budget to save this money. It was very, I mean, $10,000 to someone is, $1 million to someone else, And so it was very important to her to have this money saved. And so she was concerned that if they got it their freshman year, they just blow it and they wouldn't even make it the 4 years. I 100% agree with that. And so I explained to my brother, hey, here was her directive. I didn't ask for this. Much like the last year of my life and the divorce that is not, I did not ask to be involved in this scenario, but yet I needed to honor the request that had been put on me to be the operator of this account. So I just explained to my brother, hey, here's the deal. I'm supposed to wait until the junior year and then disperse it, blah, blah, blah. He was absolutely 100% not going to accept that. He wanted that money right now. And so he starts peppering me, raining down on me. And I shared this with so much so that I asked if he would help me he had kind of like a legal aid assist thing through his work. And I'm like, hey, can we just get them to write him a letter? Can we just get them to write him a letter and say, sit down, shut up, you'll get the money later? Like, can we just do that? Because it was becoming very stressful for me. And he knew that, which made it so hard for me to learn that he then, in an effort to rain hell on my life, called her, the wife of my brother, and told her I had no intention of ever giving her the money, which of course, you can imagine the tornado that started, which is not true at all. I was doing what I was told to do. I'm just trying to honor the commitment that I made. I was really voluntold into this position, really, if we're going to title it. And so that got her all spun up. So then she starts leaving me, bless her heart, she starts leaving me life-threatening voicemails. And I don't think he knew she would fly that far off the handle when he called her. I want to believe that he only wanted to just kind of poke the bear. He just wanted to kind of wake that chapter of my life up so that she would call me or text me or do something. I don't think, and this is why I never introduced him or Jane to her. They never met her in person ever, because I wasn't sure really where she fell on the safety spectrum. And so I only wanted to expose and introduce my family to people I knew would love and care for them. And so she flies off the rails. And I shared this with and this, he did not speak to me for the entire, besides when we were in court. And even then I did most of the speaking, which is, typical. He just kind of sat there and enjoyed my presence. But so she, now she's coming after me, which is fun to have that alongside everything else. I thought he was done. Nope. He then decided to call the spouse of an acquaintance. And what he didn't know is that this is the most no bullshit woman you could ever meet. She's from Wyoming and she is Wyoming bred. She don't give a shit. She's not getting drug into it. And why are you in her space? I think he was thinking when he called her that she would be like, oh my God. Yeah. So she's basically like, boo, I don't want to be a part of this. Don't call me, and blocked his number. And so I then get that phone call and now I'm feeling like people in my life that are not a part of this at all are getting drug in, are getting their lives impacted, are getting their stress up unnecessarily. And I don't want that. I don't think anyone wants that. I don't want to be the kind of person that people go, oh, don't be friends with her because she's going to bring some drama in your life. So I felt like I really had to take action to stop this behavior, because who knew who he was going to call next or what he was going to say and what kind of shit show that was going to spin off. So there was that, compounded with, we finally got the mover. We finally figured out kind of when he could come and get the remainder of items that he had left after he ran away that Sunday with the stormtroopers, when he could come back and get the furniture and the things like that and that he wanted from the house. So as they're leaving, as the movers are leaving, we're kind of doing a double check. We're checking our checklist. Okay, do we get this? We get that, making sure. And I noticed that one of them is taking photos. And I'm like, that's weird. Okay. And so I asked him, I was like, is this part of your SOP? Is this part of your quality control? Like, why are we taking photos of rooms? Now, keep in mind, this happened, gosh, probably 6 months after and had left originally. So the use, arrangement, and content of those rooms had changed drastically since he had left. So why are we taking pictures of them? So I asked the mover, I was like, why are you taking pictures? He goes, oh, asked me to take photos and send them to him before we left to make sure that we've gotten everything on the list. No, no. He does not need photos of the inside of my house. If he wants to be inside my house, then he needs to reach out to me, connect with me, and, then be permitted, be welcomed into my house. But having photos taken of the inside of my house, that was really weird. Again, things that you don't think of when you're trying to go through the 3 simple steps of getting divorced. Waiting a year, signing I don't, separating your shit out. So then we kind of follow that up with, the next step. I get this notice that I need to go in for a deposition. Okay, it's not that hard. I don't understand. We're not calculating how long it's going to take Taylor Swift's airplane to make it to Travis Kelce's football game. We're not trying to do that level of math here, people. So what kind of questions can you possibly have? And my attorney was like, oh, it'll probably be 30 minutes, an hour. These things don't last that long. I'm like, you haven't met vanilla. And I told her, I was like, we're going to be there all day. I was like, I can just tell you now we're going to be there all day. No, not possible. Not possible. Again, what is there to talk about? I quickly learned that what we were there to talk about was who my college roommates were. Okay. Down to like on January 19th of 2020, you said you emptied the dishwasher. Did you really empty the dishwasher? I was like, it was 7 hours of questioning that was the most useless, not if you're billing by the hour. So again, game recognizes game. I applaud his attorney. You will never hear me say anything negative about her because girl's got game. Asked me every question possible that made no sense toward the goal I thought we had of getting divorced. And at this point, we're halfway through our waiting a year. All we need to do is sign I don't and separate our shit up. We don't need to know about my college roommate, which it was funny because her mom would call. She was from Kentucky. She goes, Donna, it's your mama. And it was hysterical. But anyway, so I realized about lunchtime, I asked my attorney, I was like, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? And she goes, it has nothing to do with anything, but it's his, I don't want to say right, but he's justified in having this, which is complete bullshit. And that's one thing that we're working on with standwithjane.org. A divorce should not be an opportunity for one spouse to abuse the other. And if you need to have a deposition, okay, great. But the questions need to be directly around the goal you have. Not, there was a car in your driveway on Saturday with the license plate LI da 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 da. Who was that car? You don't live here. I can have who I want to have here. But all of that is available in a deposition. It is truly the most unhinged thing I could ever explain to you. And so about lunchtime, my attorney's like, I can't believe we're still here. I'm like, girl, I knew we were going to be here the whole day. This questioning is just absolutely stupid. But then I realized needed that transcript. Because he got to sit there at the end of the table and say nothing and just watch me and listen to me have to answer all these random ass questions about my life. I realized he needed this because he needed something to masturbate to for the rest of his life. It was essentially his version of an OnlyFans VIP room. He was building the content that he was going to live off for the rest of his life. And it was very expensive. That day was probably, when I looked around the room, between my attorney, his attorney, the court reporter woman, and just the building we were in, it was probably $7,000. So yeah, that was a pretty expensive OnlyFans room. I hope that he 100% enjoys that transcript for the rest of his life. On that same kind of thread, that deposition happened at the same time when he had, without my knowledge, turned off my car insurance. So I had asked, I said, hey, can we do this through Zoom? can you just email me your questions? I'm happy. I'll type in the answers. Can we do this in some way where I'm not driving because I don't have car insurance? And where it was located was about 30-45 minutes from my house. So I was like, hey, do I get someone to drive me? Do I Uber? Now I'm having to pay for Uber to get to something I shouldn't even have to go to anyway. It was just a really twisted thing. But no, his attorney was adamant. We were not doing it through, I couldn't just type the answers to her questions, who my college roommates were. We couldn't do it through Zoom because he needed the opportunity. He needed to sit at the end of the table and watch me for 7 hours so that he could have that for the rest of his life. And I hope he enjoys it, to be honest. That then comes into the phase where he is stalking me. He has a tracker on my car. He has a tracker on my friends' cars. I mean, and the fact that this is all legal still absolutely shocks me because, it's one thing. Okay, I understand North Carolina law, my car is essentially his car. He can track it. Okay. But to drag other people into it, that's what has hurt my heart with this, that he just continued to do, was drag people into again, 3 easy steps. Wait a year, sign I don't, split your shit up. To drag people into, I came and called a divorce because we've tried multiple times to get to split. Oh, he'll come get furniture and stuff he wants. Yeah, that's great stuff for him. But we've tried multiple times to get him to split our assets, and he absolutely refuses to do it. I understand. It's a little uncomfortable given, letting money go. I get it. But that's how it works. That's what you chose. This is the path we're on because you chose for us to be on this path. So, what was it in Home Alone when he's doing the whole the booby trapping? And he's like, don't get scared now. Like we're too far in. Don't get scared now. So he's tracking my friends' cars. And they didn't ask for this. They didn't. And I don't want anyone to ever feel like being around me has caused them emotional or physical harm or safety. It's just not cool, And so he's tracking their cars. And I'm just like, dude, like, can you not find something on Netflix to watch? Can you not pick up needlepoint? Can you not do anything else with your life but this? Apparently not. So then, and I can't even explain, I go into it in better detail in the book because I had professionals help me articulate it. But I can't even explain the sideshow that happened next, where he then decides that he needs to drag our daughter and father into the divorce. Again, 3 simple steps. Wait a year, sign I don't, split your shit up. But he decides that he needs to bring them in. And again, I can't even explain it because it absolutely makes no sense. The only thing that I can kind of wrap it with, my therapist said it in such a great way. She said, a drowning person will grab anything. And you think about that scene in Titanic when the boat's going down and they're all kind of floating around on the boards and the, whatever. They're just grabbing anything. They're grabbing anything they possibly can to stay afloat. It doesn't matter. Cooler, board, foot, they're grabbing anything they can to stay afloat. So that is the only thing that I can kind of wrap around in my mind to explain why he did that. He was a drowning person just trying to grab anything around him to bring in. It just absolutely made no sense. So I hope that this helps explain when I reference on the podcast and in the book the divorce that isn't, because it is following the footsteps of the high conflict divorces I hear from many women, using this as a weapon, using this process as a weapon and a way to torment the other person. Y'all, it's just not needed. It isn't. You don't want to be together anymore. Okay. Take your ball and go home. Yes, it sucks breaking up families. Yes, it sucks, having someone leave you. It's heartbreaking. Yes, all of that is super sucky, but we don't have to go through. I say this to our community in case you're thinking of doing this to someone else, or, if someone's doing it to you, know that this is 100% not necessary. It's 100% because someone has their dick in a twist and they can't control themselves. We have one life. We have one opportunity on this planet. I don't understand why anyone would choose to use their time on this planet to do bullshit like this. I don't understand why anyone would use their time on this planet to purposely hurt another person. We all hurt people. Yes. I say something and it accidentally offend. Yes, we all hurt people, I assume accidentally. But to go out and purposely do it, that's the thing that I can't rationalize it. So yes, I hope that answers your questions about my divorce that is not. And if you are going through something like this, girl, I'm there for you. All I can say is it's probably not going to stop until one of two things happens. They run out of energy or they run out of money. So I'm keeping you in my thoughts and wishing you the best.